Hiraeth means, or is a not really well translatable word for the longing of a past or a place that we have lost or that has never existed. It can also be a person. It can be the feeling of nostalgia or homesickness. And I believe we all carrying this kind of feeling within us, that somehow we're feeling disconnected sometimes, maybe from nature or the world, or, everyone has lost something or someone. And sometimes I believe that this longing is a thing that is thriving us.
Joanna, it's so lovely to talk to you.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation.
It's a great pleasure. Yeah, I was really so intrigued with your music, so really touched by your music and your visuals on Instagram. And also when I started reading about your album, it really resonated with me.
Oh, that's lovely to hear. I'm really grateful for this positive feedback, and I'm really grateful for, I can really hear that it touched something inside you, and this means a lot to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I actually, when I heard it and when I listened to the music, it has almost like an Irish folk feeling, almost that genre of music. Yet you are from Germany, you are from Berlin.
Well, I live in Berlin for the most part of my life, but I was born in Poland, and I have a French grandfather and a Ukrainian grandmother, a German grandmother, and a Polish grandfather. So,
okay.
So I call myself European.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the folkloristic aspect, it's interesting that you're pointing that out. I feel that is somewhere inside me. And yes, I'm quite touched by Irish folk, and it resonates a lot with me, but I guess it comes rather from the East, something inside me. That's also why I chose the accordion as my main instrument.
Okay. And yeah, because it has also this melancholic feel.
Yeah. Well, I mean, in melancholy, you can find a lots of beauty and joy. And I've been thinking a lot about music in the recent days, and what it means to me, especially when, you're trying to get attention on a market and you're thinking, okay, what does it really mean to me? Is it something that I really want to sell, or is it something where I want to be people be touched by it? And for me, the melancholy is a way of expression of emotions. It's creating a room where you can really feel everything what is there, where you can be as honest with yourself and with the others as you wish. And I don't know, I find when I can cry with music, I also love to listen to melancholic music. And when I can cry and, just drop myself into the sound, I'm feeling so much better afterwards. And I'm feeling alive and as human being.
Well, it's interesting that you say that, because last year, that was sort of the theme of many of the interviews where, singer-songwriters talking about really going into what they want to say rather than what's commercially, or what's commercial music, but really what their message is or what they want to say. And then also that idea of writing music, or like a composer said to me, really writing music from that place where you start questioning things and where you start looking for answers, and that comes out in the music.
Well, I see it always from two perspectives. I've been talking about this thing with the market. It's like every day there are 100,000 songs released these days. This is insane. And I think we all know how hard it is to make a living through music or arts in general. And so the benefit of the whole thing, all the effort that you put in, all the energy that goes in, is to really be true to yourself somehow, and to I mean, it has to be somehow joyful for myself. And for me, it's just a space where I can express myself, where I can have a dialogue with the audience and have a dialogue with my inner self somehow. So I actually really like this vulnerability in music and that people are reflecting themselves. And in some way, you have to be unique, and this is the main thing that you have. The main thing that you have is yourself, and to show yourself with all the cracks that might be there.
Let me leave the orbit of endless circles. Let me overcome the borders of myself. Let me break out of here.
And that's true. And it's also, like you say, if you are stirred by a specific emotion, or if this is your emotion, then it's bound to be other people's emotions as well. So, and if it comes from this real, deep, authentic self, then it has to touch, or it will touch other people as well.
Yeah, and this is, I believe, the moment of connection with other people.
Exactly.
I mean, and we are living in a very fast world. We have access to all the informations that we want, or even that we don't want. I find that in this moment of making music or creating music in a particular space, especially when you're playing live, this is a moment where you're really connecting with the others, and you feel, all right, we share the same emotions, we share the same problems. I'm not alone in this world, and this is something that, gives me lots of hope that we are not alone on this planet and trying to make it better.
Yeah. Well, your album is called is it Hiraeth?
It's Hiraeth.
Hiraeth.
They speak it in it's a Welsh word, and it's called Hiraeth.
Yeah. And tell me about the name. Why specifically the name of that album?
Hiraeth means, or is a not really well translatable word for the longing of a past or a place that we have lost or that has never existed. It can also be a person. It can be the feeling of nostalgia or homesickness. And I believe we all carrying this kind of feeling within us, that somehow we're feeling disconnected sometimes, maybe from nature or the world, or, everyone has lost something or someone. And sometimes I believe that this longing is a thing that is thriving us.
Lift me out of insignificance. Let me leave the orbit of endless circles. Let me overcome the borders of myself. Let me break out of here. Let me break out of here.
That is letting us invent things, create things, writing poems. We all have this feeling of, it has to move on. I don't know, I'm still not there. I'm still searching. Who am I in this world? All this kind of questioning of identity as well. And I've chosen that word. It came to me, a friend gave it to me, an archaeologist. And he said, always when I listen to your music, to the previous album I wrote, I'm thinking about this word, and I was just, bam, this is it. This is the album title of the next album. And I've been thinking lots about all kinds of longings that we are having. Longing for love, longing for a place where we belong to, and all kinds of forms of desires. And so all the songs on the album are about the feeling of longing.
But that's beautiful. And I actually, I read about that, and I was thinking also in languages, the word, what word, because Sehnsucht in Deutsch, in German,
Yes.
is also the word for it, but it's almost as if you want a word to attach to that specific deep feeling. And
yeah, it does not really contain everything. Sehnsucht is only
exactly.
a small part. It's maybe also Heimat is one of these words. Yeah, but Hiraeth is more than that. I think
that's what I thought. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking also in English, longing, and then in Afrikaans, because I'm Afrikaans, verlangen. And I think also why it resonated with me so much is because I'm also replanted, really. I'm originally from South Africa, and now I'm here. And it's sort of you, every time you go back, you think about the life there, and you sort of realize it's not the same, so you're longing not for the place, but you're longing for that feeling or that time or so on. So it's so beautiful that really I think it's such a fantastic album that you did.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's very interesting what you say about being replanted. I have a similar history, and this feeling of maybe it's also the longing for childhood or something. It's like when the world was still big, and somehow I'm not finding that word now. Unschuldig.
Oh yeah, innocent.
Innocent, there we go.
Innocent, yeah.
In a way, it's like everything was still possible, and you've been discovering all these things and experiences. And I find the older we get, the more we are losing this kind of innocence, because we get to know everything, and we know every step that we cause creates something. And I was born in Poland, and I grew up in Germany. And 2 years ago, I went back to that little village where I grew up, and everything has changed. So a similar feeling, but still in my memories, it is such a huge place, and the forest. And I remember the animals that we had. And so, but it looks entirely different. It's gone. It's not there anymore. And this longing for this place still sticks with me.
So relate to that. I go back to the town where I grew up in South Africa, and I sometimes want to take my children to not the place, but the time, because also it changed so much, but you want to sort of walk in the street, and you want to go into that little shop where you used to go to and buy this, and you just realize nothing is there anymore. And that's why, I can completely understand. And I think it's also, like you say, it's the same with people, or the same with love, or that same with that feeling, that you long for it, or that you just want a glimpse of it again.
Yeah, it's like an inevitable thing of letting time go. You have to let it go. And very often I'm feeling this huge thing of nostalgia when I'm turning around, looking at my life, and I'm like, wow, okay, so much time has passed, and you've been going through so many lives already, and you've met so many people, and some were sharing your path, some so some did choose another path. Oh, I did. And it's hard to explain that feeling, but I think everyone has it.
It's for me always so interesting, the timing of these interviews, because sometimes it's just either I've spoken to somebody a week ago about something, or it's a feeling that I had, and that the artist then talks about it. So it's wonderful. And I think the time is right for these things, because I think a lot of people start evaluating, I think we're in a time where people start re-evaluating also, like you say, what music do we put out or what art do we put out, and that things need to come back to authenticity.
I think we are all longing for the as you say, authenticity, because as everything gets so fast, you really have to ask yourself what counts, what is important,
exactly.
What's your purpose, what is real. And I think the appreciation for handmade things, for real encounters, also for mistakes, for the little things, where you can just mirror yourself. And I believe that art and music are so important for societies as a mirror and as an expression of what is important or what is happening. So
to cut your wings, keep you in a cage. Perhaps it's golden for this purpose, covered by black veils to silence in darkness your voice. Only the last piece of the sky is yours. Little bird, rise unswervingly to new heights.
A young actress said, actually, if you go to the theater, if you go to an art gallery, it has to say something that stirs you or that speaks to you. And I think this is the wonderful thing about art, is that it is possible. But I also think that this is why it's so absolutely important that it's real, that it's really about real emotions and about real people and about what we feel and what we can experience.
Yeah, I mean, that's a moment, again, I'm closing a circle. So that's a moment of real encounter, of where we really meet each other and experience being human beings. I think, it's like when you go into the World Wide Web, when you open the internet and you don't really know anymore what is real or not. And
exactly.
I find it very confusing. I mean, if it's KI or fake news or I don't know. It's like all the strange conversations that you can have with strangers on the net.
Yeah.
And what of this? What is real? And how do we want this world to be created? And how do we want, in what kind of world do we want to live?
Exactly. Yeah. But you have the wonderful talent and ability to speak through your music. But where did the music start for you? Were you, as a child, already doing music?
Yes, in a way. When we moved from Poland to Germany, I was 5 years old. And I think the first months being in Germany was quite lonely for me and quite scary as well, because I left everything behind, my grandparents, and it's like living in the countryside. Suddenly we were living in a city. Everything has changed. So I was walking on my own very often around the house where we were living, and I was singing to myself. And I think this was my way of calming all my emotions down and to express myself and all my sorrow and also to deal with the fear that I had of this new, around the topic of a new home. And then I went to a Catholic church and I started to sing in the church choir. And this was beautiful because, suddenly this experience to connect through music again was there, because I started to sing with others. And I believe there is some kind of understanding in music. When you share music, you don't really have to speak the same language. You don't have to come from the same country. It's just there, the emotions, connecting with the others. And it was very precious to me. Later, I wasn't part of the Catholic Church anymore, but the singing and the harmonies and the polyphonic music that stuck with me somehow. And it wasn't very clear from the very beginning that this was supposed to be my path. I studied acting then later, but I was much stronger on stage when I could sing. It was just like some door opens and it's just singing through me. So it was not so much about me anymore. It was more like I'm the vessel of what wants to come out.
So that you felt that comfortable to sing.
Absolutely. Yeah, this is for me a moment of coming home.
But I think really what you're saying about the choir singing also, I think we underestimate the power of that, of coming together and singing, because I remember speaking to a conductor once, and he said that actually also in orchestra, as with in choir, it's much more than just the music. It's that coming together, and like you say, that doesn't matter what language you speak or where you come from, it's about the music and that together feeling.
Yeah, it's a very, very powerful moment. Yeah, and again, it gives you the moment of not being alone in this place, but belonging together.
And songwriting for you, when did you start writing songs?
Probably as well when I started to sing to myself.
Oh, really?
Yeah, but I think the first song that I wrote, I started with poetry. I did not necessarily start with, it's like having this idea of, I'm going to write a song now. I was just singing fantasy words to myself and also just thoughts. And then I started to write poetry. So I started to write down my thoughts and emotions without having the plan to put them into songs. But then at some point it all came together. And I had a band in my beginning 20s. It was entirely different music. I wrote German lyrics. And so it started. And in theater school, I loved all these old songs from the 1920s, the chanson stuff. Brecht, Kreisler. Yeah, and that's how everything came together. And I picked up the accordion very late. I started to learn the instrument when I turned 30, I think, because I really loved this feeling of the breathing instrument somehow. It was, it's similar to an organ somehow. And also I can always hear the sea, the breathing of the sea, the waves coming in and out.
Yes, I never thought of that, but yeah.
Yeah. Many people said, okay, because it's such a traditional folkloristic instrument, but this was never the idea behind that. Maybe somewhere deep inside me, there is something that it touches. But I've chosen it because of this breath, of this big feeling of the waves coming in and out. And I'm using it in an entirely different way. It's not used like in a classical folkloristic or tango way.
But it's so amazing for me always to hear why musicians also choose the instrument. And this is such a beautiful, I've never thought of it, but yeah, I can now absolutely hear it, that sound that you're talking about. But I think it suits you so well. It suits your music so well. It's like, it has to be. I cannot imagine it any other way.
I've tried a couple of times to learn the guitar. I have one in my home since I'm 12 years old. I can barely play the guitar, but it never came through. So it was always rather the keys. I'm playing a little bit of piano, and sometimes on tour, I think it would be really nice to just sing or play the ukulele, because it's a very heavy instrument. So you have to carry 12 kilos around, and after traveling lots of kilometers and carrying this thing around, it would be nicer to have something light.
Yeah, that's also something that I don't think we always think about, like it's physically you have to carry it and you have to hold it and play it. But does it, can you feel it on your back? I mean, do you have sometimes that you feel exhausted by it as you are performing?
Well, not directly after performing, but from time to time I'm getting issues with the shoulder, so I have to work around that. And I'm quite a sporty person, so I didn't care about being fit enough to do this. But touring is a very hard job for every musician. You have to carry your stuff around. You have to be somewhere on time. You have to set up. When everyone is gone after the show, you have to put everything back together and carry it again somewhere else. And it's a similar thing with creating music. When you go to the studio, I mean, depends on how you create. Some people, of course, maybe just do everything on the computer. I really love to go to the studio with musicians and bring all my instruments there as well and record everything, because it's just the same feeling of people being in the same room and record something, create something. And I believe that you can hear that on recordings when it's real. Maybe that's just a belief, and it's not really like that.
No, but I think, and also that coming together of musicians and bouncing off each other, I think that's so amazing.
Yeah, and every person brings their own very own unique ideas into the room and into the music. It's all about the pace, the energy, and the character that someone brings into the music, and that creates a whole new universe.
Do you also always work with the same musicians?
Not necessarily, but when it works well with someone, I will work with these people.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it's, sometimes you just get the right feeling with someone, and you have to say that it's like with friends as well. Sometimes it's a match and sometimes it's not. And some people totally understand what you want to express, and they totally get it, and then they bring their own unique thing into it. And sometimes it's not working because you just don't get the music, or all right, you're not really interested in it, or so. Then it's
yeah, and it's important for you to get the right people so that you can get the right thing across.
Yeah, luckily in Berlin, I really have to say that we have a fantastic pool of musicians here, and I'm really happy to belong to this community. It's very rich.
But you sing in English, and English is not your first language. Is it difficult? Was it, or when did you decide to write in English?
I've started to write in English. Oh, this is already a long time ago. I think 2010. I had a band. It was called The Cold Hand, and we called the music funeral folk, so very close to what it is now, but slightly different. And I was working with a guitar player and producer from Bristol, and I had a drummer from New York. I had a bass player from Seattle. So they all came together in Berlin, and we wrote 2 albums. We played for 5 years together, and then everyone disappeared again because they went back to their home cities, and I was very sad. But for me, English has a different flow than German. I find it's more suitable for the music. It's more about the sound of the words. I've been thinking a lot about writing songs in German. Maybe I'm not so great at it, because I find that German has a particular rhythm that I'm not really maybe it's just not who I am, and it's
Yeah.
like the melancholy. Hard to get the melancholy out of the German language. It's very straight.
But you're not the first singer-songwriter that says that. I've spoken to a few German singer-songwriters who write in English, and they say exactly the same thing. It's as if English just lends itself to music, to writing songs.
Yeah, it absolutely does. It has way more vocals than the German has a lot of consonants that are very harsh. So yeah, I mean, you can play with that. I mean, there are fantastic songwriters to sing and write in German, but I'm not a part of this.
Yeah. No, but what suits you, or what helps you to sort of express what you want to express. I think that's more important.
I had a beautiful moment when I was in acting school. There was I had an Italian colleague, and she was doing a monologue in Italian. I did not understand much of this, but it was so powerful and so beautiful, and I was really, really captivated by this. And I thought, all right, sometimes it's not so much about if you understand the language or not, but it's the sound or the expression in it, the energy in it, and the passion. I mean, Italian is very passionate. So yeah.
Well, actually, there's a music professor in South Africa who did a study on exactly this thing. He gave artists music with lyrics that they didn't understand, and he wanted them to produce an artwork and see if just by hearing the sound, if they can understand. And actually all their artworks were spot on with what the meaning of the songs were.
Wow.
So, yeah. So I do think, there is something connected, something emotionally connected to language, the way we speak.
Yeah, that's what we just said, right? That understand each other above the language. It's in the music carries it anyways.
Well, actually, just this weekend, my daughter's friend was visiting, and she had a little baby, a few months old, and she only speaks French to the baby. And I can't speak French, so I spoke Afrikaans, but like I would have spoken with the baby in Afrikaans. And the baby reacted to me, and we were saying, and I was saying to her, okay, so say what I say in French, and it had the same tone, that's the same way of saying. So I think that's how it works, if a baby could react to me without even understanding. So yeah, definitely makes sense.
So beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah, the babies hardly can understand the meaning of the words. It's all
exactly. Yeah. It's the tone. Yeah, it's the tone. But when you when you started writing music, were you very confident when you had to first release it or put it out there?
I don't think I thought lots about it. I just, I've started writing, and of course I wanted it to be heard, and I wanted to bring it out into the world, but I was not really focusing a goal or anything like that. It has changed a little bit with this last album, with Hiraeth. We had a funding for the album, and it was quite a big production, and we had the opportunity to record with fantastic musicians in the studio. And the perspective on making music has changed for me. That's why I was, like what I said in the very beginning, that I was thinking about the meaning of music for myself. Where do I want to go with this? I've started to play with a bigger ensemble. We are 5 people on stage now, and you have to somehow make it happen, and you have to make it sustainable, and you have to pay the people. And it has changed a little bit, the focus on the music. So I started to think of it as a business, and I did not really, I had to get to find my way in this kind of dealing with things that approaching you. I think the questioning and the insecurity, in a way, that we all have, I believe that they belong to making art and music. Because if everything was always perfect and right, and you thought, okay, that's it, now I got it, you would repeat it and repeat it and repeat it. You want to experience new shores.
What we call love. What we call love. What we call love. What we call
I also believe that this music is probably not for everyone, because not everyone wants to deal with deep emotions, or
Yeah.
in the end, it's all about taste as well, and it's okay.
I think when we get to that point where we say, look, I understand it's not for everyone, but it shouldn't be, it shouldn't be for everyone. It should be for the audience who wants it.
Yeah, I think you can, fair enough. When you decide to make a business, a career out of your path, it's all good,
Yeah.
but I should have chosen a different kind of expression, maybe pop music, or also I've started relatively late with music, so the market is different. Just but I don't care. It's I will keep going.
I love that you don't care, but this is why you're creating what you're creating. But you talked about now the business side of things, so and you said that there's something that you had to sort of learn. But are you good with the business side? Do you enjoy the business side of things?
Yeah, it was a process for me to learn all these kind of things, but now I think I'm quite self-confident in saying what it's worth and what it needs to be done and to be realized. So yeah, and I have a good team around me now, which is great. So I'm not doing everything on my own anymore, and this is very helpful as well. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's also, the fact that you can get people to help you. That's also, but I mean, that's part of the whole music industry, isn't it? That everybody has their strengths.
Everybody has their strength, and everyone gives their uniqueness into the whole thing.
Exactly.
And I think some people believe that they have to do it on their own, or that is a very lonely place where you are as an artist, but you have to connect with others. You have to work with others. You have to find people who believe in you and support you. Otherwise, it's really a lonely place. Especially touring on your own is it's really can be very, very exhausting.
Yeah, I can imagine that. But Joanna, tell me, what are your wishes now for the future, for this year and for the future?
You mean the general wishes for the world, or my personal wishes?
Any wish. You can make any wish on this channel.
Okay. The end of animal agriculture.
Okay.
Yes. No, this is yeah, this is a very important topic to me because I love animals so much that I would hope that people have more empathy for the other beings on this planet. And I believe if this would happen, we would also have more empathy towards each other. And yeah, maybe reconnect with the nature. And for myself and for the project, I would really love to go to tour on, internationally. We've been playing a little bit in Vienna and Serbia last year, in Switzerland, but maybe to open up that circle a little bigger and to go overseas.
Absolutely.
And yeah, this would be lovely. It would be lovely. Beautiful, beautiful festivals in Iceland. I would love to go to Iceland, and I think the music would fit there perfectly.
Mm-hmm.
And I've started to write new music now and we'll see where this goes now.
Amazing. I absolutely wish also that you can tour this music. It's beautiful. And I think it's so relatable, and it will just work internationally, definitely.
Thank you so much for your belief.
Left me out of insecurity.